Yo, Saints Talk official podcast of NewOrleans.Football. I'm here with my guy Nick Underhill. Nick, what's up? Let's do some potting, bro.
Not ran into the house this week. My guy Bob sent me some new headphones, so we're good there. We shouldn't have any headphone malfunctions. We're good to go. We're ready to roll, man.
That was Bob way of saying get your
yeah. He's telling me to get it together. He's telling me to get it together for sure. Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. Shout out to Bob. Hey, Bob, man. I'm gonna just cut my cord in the middle of the pod and I'll send you my address.
Oh man,
I got the $10 grocery store wired headphones, and you rocking around with the AirPods. So I don't like that. Yo, man, listen, we was off last week, and we back, man. The energy's high. We ready. Talk a little Saints football, and shout out to all the live listeners. Thank you guys for being here, and let's just jump right into it. So I know. I'm pretty sure some of the guys, people who listening to it, you guys. There was a I want to say Hustle and Flow, but that's not the name of the podcast. That's the name of the movie. I'll get the name of it. But it's the podcast with Steve Weich and Jim Trotter, I think his name was, and he had Jameis Winston on there. I'm gonna get the name of the pod on right once you start talking, because it deserves to be said. But it was an interesting interview, man, and Winston. I was telling you before we started, I was like, it's probably one of the more impressive player interviews I've ever heard. Like just his mind state, and like how some of the things he learned from like Sean and Drew. And I'll be honest, like I'm still in wait and see mode with Jameis, right? Because you have to be, right? And I know Jameis Hive, y'all don't come at me. I'm afraid of you guys. like seriously. But you got to be in wait and see mode. But like, I'm not gonna lie, like after this interview, I was like, man, like with his talent level and his mind state the way that it is, I would be surprised if he's not successful. That I guess that's what I'll say. One of the main things that he spoke about was like the decision-making process. And one example he gave, he said it was at the end of, I think, the Raider game at the start of this year, and the Saints were losing. I think they were down 2 scores, and it was a 2-minute warning. And he said, at that point, he's like, I'm going into Jameis mode. He's like, I'm gonna start chucking it downfield, taking some chances. We got to get the ball in the end zone quickly and score twice. And he said Drew was just taking what the defense gave him. And he said he was like a little weirded out by it, because he's like, you guys are going to lose. And Drew came to this, when he asked Drew, he was like, I was making the best decision for every single play. Right. And he was like, those passes that I threw were the best decision for in that particular moment. And so he's, one thing he kind of said was like, growing up, I was like, I was the gunslinger. I bought into it. Like, I wanted to throw the ball over the field. I wanted to throw for a lot of yards. And he was like, that is not a formula for success, in this league. And it's all about like making the best play. And, he said, like, for instance, like if I'm in practice, I'm going to just throw at Marshawn all day because I know I got Mike Thomas there. Right. But he said, what if, someone else is open? So it's a good interview. I would encourage people to listen. I need to get the name of it. And I'm looking it up now, but I don't know, man. I don't know what question I'm asking you, because it's like an open-ended, but I just listening to it, I came away thinking like, man, this guy sounds like he's going to be successful here.
Well, look, that's always been Drew's mantra in the way that he's evaluated his game. He doesn't evaluate results. He evaluates decisions. And his belief has always been that if you make good decisions, you're going to win games. And it seems pretty basic, but if you're just looking to make the right decision on every play, you are going to avoid more mistakes than you're going to make. And I think there probably were times in Drew's career where he got away from that, and probably in 14, 15, 16, sometimes he would press and throw bad interceptions, but those are understandable. But when you have a competitive team, you have that defense, you have the guys around you, I think that was what Drew really did in 17, 18, 19, and 20 when he was on the field. He just leaned on the guys around him. He trusted the defense. He made the right decisions. He tried to eliminate mistakes.
Yeah.
And he managed games probably more than he ever had in his career. But, I think if Jameis does that too, it would set him up for more success. And every time you hear this guy speak, he makes you believe in him. And it seems like when he talked to us, I think it was last week, like the word he kept using, and it stood out to me, and it was almost like shocking to hear it. He kept saying like serve the team, serve the team, serve the team. And you know, I think that plays into what you're talking about now, is him just trying to serve the team in the best way possible, and not be about, you know, how am I going to win this game for the team? He can just sit back and kind of play it and do what he's got to do. It's his attitude's in the right place. If his game matches his words,
right,
I'm a believer. I'm a total believer, but he does have to show it. And it's not doubting him. It's just, we haven't seen it. We got to see it. Right. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I mean, he's saying the right things, and his approach to everything, it seems like he's been really humbled. It seems like he's learned from everything. I've been impressed,
man. He's talking. Yeah, he. And it's funny you mentioned that, like, about a game manager, and that's what he said. Like, and I actually wrote it down. He was like, you know, he didn't want to. He at the start, he didn't want to be known as a game manager. He was like,
nobody does, right? It's like we use that as like a dirty word, and it's such a stupid thing.
And every quarterback is a game manager, which the best quarterbacks are game managers, right? Game managing is, you know, getting the ball with 2 minutes left and scoring a touchdown before the end of the half. That's game management. And he said that. He was like, before I didn't, but he said, like, I want to be a game manager. Like, that's good. And the name of the pod is Huddle and Flow. So you guys want to hear the episode, it's the latest one. You know, check it out. We want to make sure we get those guys credit. You know, we're talking about it. So yeah, it was just interesting hearing about him. And the other thing he said that was interesting, he said he wants to make decision oriented. This, you know, he wants to like when he's playing, he wants to be this decision oriented, not result oriented, which is interesting because, you know, the NFL is a result oriented business, right? It's, you know, your numbers and stuff like that. But he just broke it down. He's like, you know, everything is just about like that decision at the time, making the right decision. But yeah, man, you know, I don't want to spend too long on this topic. I don't think it's much there. I think we've spoken about Jameis like a lot.
One other thing, when we talked to him last week, and it sucks that we're in the Zoom era, because like you can't just like follow up on things. You got to wait for somebody to call on you. So like people say something and it just hangs out there, and everybody asks their question. You can't get back to it. He mentioned in passing the LASIK surgery too, and he just said like it's really nice being able to see the field or something like to that effect. And I was just like, whoa, like I was trying to get back in to follow up on that. I never got the opportunity, but that seems like a very significant thing too. Like if he's seeing the field clearly, anybody that's ever watched Jameis play dating back to Florida State knew he couldn't see. Like I think he was the last person to admit that there was like something going on, because every time you saw him, it was just, you know, you saw him with the squinting and all that. And if he's actually seeing the field clearly now and he's thinking about things like that, it could be. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't want to like be like, this is gonna happen, but it seems like things are going the right way. But you know, we'll
it's all these things like around Jameis that he's just so set up for success, and it's like the team, the coach, the players, the city, but also like his approach, just to, you know, like the dude loves football, man. Like he's one of those dudes that like if he didn't play, if he wasn't an NFL player, he'd be trying to be on
this podcast, huh?
Yeah.
He'd be talking about it.
Hey man, he'd be running a 4.840 like me, right?
Come on, man.
Yeah, but like, you know,
that's our home cooking pro day time. Go to the combine and run like a 5.6, but you get to the pro day, you lose a whole second.
Hey, look, man, I got my wife with the stopwatch. Oh man, but yeah, he like I said, the guy. I mean, if he can sell water to a well, man. I mean, he talks it. It's like he's grooming himself for this position and be a leader. And you know, one thing he said was that like when I came into the league, and he said I would tell this to the young quarterbacks, like focus on being the best quarterback you can be. And when he said it, like that's advice I would give young quarterbacks. I was like, man, that's kind of like obvious, you know. But he was like, you know, when you come into the league and you have all this responsibility to be the head of the franchise, the CEO, he was like, man, people want you to do media. People want you to like do this, you this. He said, man, you're all over the place. And like, you know, he said that the more time you spend on that stuff, the less time you're going to be working on being a good quarterback. And he was like, you know, like you're trying to be in the community, do charity. He's like, charity's good, do all that stuff. I'm not saying, he said, I do my share of charity, but he's like, if you do a lot of charity and you're not good at football, you're going to be on another team, And so, I mean, he just had like all these quotes, man. He was throwing stuff out there. Like the guy like read like the book on how to be a quarterback. So, man, he just had me like kind of fired up. I was like, man, when the OTA start? I'm trying to see some Jameis. I'm trying to see what he's talking about. And the last thing, I'll bring up was, he said, I want to show, just Sean and the Saints. And he said, I want to show him I can protect the ball. Right. And he's like, he said, I went back and looked at all those interceptions and I was like, man, what the heck was I thinking? Right. I don't know if it was the Lasix or it was the gunslinger in him, but it seems like he's, I think he said he went back and looked at that stuff multiple times too. So it's an exciting time to kind of like not know what's going on because the expectations this year is kind of weird, which kind of segues me into the next topic, like just the state of the team, right? It's like you see this team and the talent is still there. The core is still there. You've been saying this, a lot, that the core of the team is still intact, but there's some holes, right? The team has more holes than it's probably had in 3 or 4 years, just off the top of my head. And maybe I'm wrong. It's, we'll see. Maybe, and that's where it is right now. It's still early in the offseason. So right now, like when you look at this team, like and I'm setting this question up for something else, but like, what's your level of like confidence in them, like at this moment, with the notion in mind that there's still some offseason left? Like, what do you like? What's the expectations of like people do? I see power rankings. I'm like, it's too early, but okay, let me look at it and see. Oh, dang, the Saints are 20. It's like what? How do you see the team at the moment, right? Like, are they like
people got Saints at 20 right now?
I don't remember. I think I saw one of them at 17 or something. I forget. It must have been a couple of weeks ago. Probably maybe right after day one in free agency. People getting free agency and they trying to get articles and clicks and they put this stuff out and stuff. So
well, I think they plugged 2 holes with Nick Van Ette and
Passanio.
Passanio. So I think those are 2 important moves. It starts filling out the depth a little bit. I think there's still a lot more work to do there. I do think the signing of Passanio kind of at least alleviates the immediate need to draft a pass rusher. And if you start to try to do that, you could end up in trouble pretty quickly. Just because, I run these like draft simulations all day. And like when they had all the holes, like it was impossible to address every single one and get to the end of the draft and feel good about it. So I think there's still a little bit more to do there. I don't know how they plugged the hole at corner before the draft. Richard Sherman would be like the one, like if you signed him, you wouldn't have the need.
TJ Carey.
I think if you take TJ Carey, you still have a need, but at least you like can, if something happens and a quarterback falls you in the first round or a pass rusher or whatever, you could at least live with it and try to adjust it in the second round and hope for the best or whatever.
Yeah.
Corner's the one though, man. Like, and now
man.
you have the Marshawn thing lingering, and who knows how that's going to play out. But that adds a little bit more uncertainty to the cornerback depth chart,
right,
as well. So I don't know, like that's they got to plug one of those. That's the one spot. And I've said it, everywhere I talk. That's the one spot where I started adjusting win totals based on what they do there. Whereas with everything else, I think I'm kind of okay with it. You see the path; they're doing okay there. Passanio helps you on the edge. He gives you a little interior rush in the sub rush. And I think he was actually a better, more effective interior pass rusher from what I saw. And, I think Van Ette's going to be solid in the Josh Hill role. He says he has more to offer as a pass catcher, so we'll see there. State of the team, though, they get that corner, and I think they're good. Like, I think they're a good team. 17 games now, 10, before it's double digit. I think the over under is 10. Like at that point, if they get the corner, if they don't get the corner, I'm dropping at least a game, maybe more depending on what, if it's P-Rob and Marshawn, like you're good if both those guys are on the field and healthy. I don't think, what we've seen from Patrick Robinson, you can have that level of confidence. But they were a good team with Eli Apple and Ken Crawley, and if P-Rob somehow stays healthy for 17 games, you don't do anything else. maybe you're okay, but
Maybe.
that's a very, 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 very dangerous way to live. Before I let you talk, I'm very close to meeting the March goal of subscriptions. Like, sign up if you're listening to this. $9 for a month, $10 off. Got the code on the screen there. Jabu back for an annual plan, $10 off. Sign up, help me out. Let me meet the goal and keep enjoying the show. We got a lot of stuff coming.
Yes,
in the near future.
Yeah, and I guess you took the words out of my mouth, because before I started ranting, I was going. You just spoke about the Tano. We're just gonna call him Tano, the new defensive end the Saints just signed. And if you guys want to learn a little bit about the player, there's a film study article on him of him on NewOrleans.Football right now. So go check it out. Also, the draft. The draft is coming up. So there's a draft simulation that just came out. I'm gonna say today. Today, I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure that came out today.
Cornerback in every round, just see what they could do.
Yep.
Yeah, I go through that. Yeah, it's just a good way to kind of evaluate the whole draft, see what's possible. And I just threw this comment up there. I want to see
what Chulo, man.
Does with the DBs. Yeah. Look, there's a lot of long corners in this draft, so I mean, it would be interesting. Like that was kind of the Chris Richards like blueprint in Seattle, was these long physical corners, and it just seems like there's people all the time. Yeah. We got Nicholas Alfano. He said he's about to re-sign up. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, you guys share a first name. There you go. Yeah, so gotta find something, man. Have to fill in that empty space. Yeah, and there's 2 draft simulators on there actually. In the rundown, which is always like my favorite article, Jameis Winston. I guess I'm going back 2 weeks now. Another rundown article. It's off season, you know. I mean, Nick can't say it. I will. You compare what's happening at NewOrleans.Football to other places with multiple people, and you know, just sign up, man. Sign up and support. That's all we ask. So, but yeah, so I like how you like kind of, you know, put it as.
Hey, Nick came through with the promise too. Shout out, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, man. Appreciate that. So with, you know, and you mentioned like, hey, the cornerback is a position where, you know, you definitely kind of got to say, okay, this is kind of where it's kind of like the crossroads of what you think the team is going to be this year, right? You get a good player there, and you know, it could be a veteran, it could be a rookie. You know, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. You know, a veteran would make you maybe feel a little bit better. A rookie could come in and, you know, not get on the field. Happened last year. So, you know, it's not guaranteed. But yeah, I guess when I take a step back and I look, you know, I kind of look at the team, I say, okay, you know, I start simple. I say, okay, are they better than they were last year? And, you know, no. Okay, so look at the win total, drop some there, and then I look at the holes. And then, you know, I guess from there it kind of like plays into like, you know, how they're plugging it in the depth that they're getting it with. Because when I took a step back and looked at the team, like I saw a lot of holes that I thought, you know, well, I would say that they're holes, but they weren't like major holes. Like I only saw one in cornerback. So that's my next question to you is like, other than cornerback, are there any major holes that, in your opinion, right? In your opinion, do you think there's any major holes on the team other than cornerback?
I think linebacker's kind of one. I think linebacker's kind of a significant hole. I know they like Chase Hansen a lot. And if he stays healthy, I think there's some confidence there. We don't know what Zach Bond is, so I can't speak about Zach Bond as
I don't know nothing about him.
Yeah. So, you know, I kind of just, if he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I can't speak about him in the sense that he's going to do anything or not. I know they traded up for him to get him. That's something that people have brought up to me a few times when I bring up Chase Hansen. Well, they traded for this guy, so like he's going to get the first shot. That's not how Sean operates, and he never has. Once you're in the building, you're just in the building. The cost acquisition is immaterial to him. Mm-hmm. He'll cut you. He'll play somebody ahead of you. It really doesn't make a difference. And you know, we've seen that play out over time. Like it's just, you know, that's just not how he does things. And you know, he's spoken before that that's how you lose the team. Like when the team knows somebody else is better than somebody else, and you're playing someone just because you're paying them or because of their draft cost. Yeah, that's how you lose your team. So it, you know, Bond has to beat out the UDFA, and they're on a level. Once you're in the building, it's a level playing field. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I think all of that is significant question marks. We saw the impact that Quan Alexander had when he came in last year with his athleticism and
Yeah, that was a big deal. That was a boost to the defense, man.
It is. And Chase has some of that range. He's a former safety, but yeah, I mean, he was hurt. We don't know what he can do. He had a really good camp. It's a very abstract thing, but yeah, they bring somebody in there. I think pass rusher is still a need. There's a need in maybe adding somebody, and there's a need in getting the players you have to play better than they did last year. Interior, run stopper is something that they got to figure out. Maybe the answer is in the building, maybe it isn't. So I'd say those, and then you could throw a wide receiver on there somewhere. I wouldn't put that ahead of some of the other ones, but it's a need as well. And yeah, to get people in the chat, JC, Andrew, Cumo, everybody else that's already signed up. We love everybody. We can't shout out every single person that signed up for the site, but yeah, everybody that signed up, we got love for all you guys.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. We should people that signed up. We should put a picture of our dogs next to them or something, right? Just to kind of denote them. I'll volunteer Marley. So I agree with the positions of needs. I think cornerback is the glaring if they went into the draft with the cornerbacks as they are, I wouldn't feel great because I kind of feel like they would have to pick one in the first couple of rounds, right? And so that's one position. Linebacker is not as big of a need as cornerback in my opinion.
No,
but it is I think it's next in the list, right? And however you want to tier it, if cornerback 2 is a 10, linebacker is a 7.5, 8. All right, that's just for conversational purposes. So I definitely think linebacker is something to look at. I'm looking at, and it's on the offensive side. It doesn't have to be a tight end or a wide receiver, but I do think they could use another a weapon there. And I'm in the crazy part is I'm not even sure what kind, because you got Mike, and Mike is elite, and you hope he's back healthy this year. But and I don't know, I'm penciling Jameson, right, for the sake of the of this discussion. Would a deep threat be the best use, or do you trust Harris there, or do you want someone who maybe is a bigger as a deep threat?
Yeah,
I can see it, right? I mean, he's fast. He's faster than I thought, and I thought he was fast. So yeah, he's someone, or do you say, hey, I want to get a bigger body for Jameis, right? And someone that could be maybe one of those intermediate guys, or take or make plays in the middle of the field. So I'm not. So I don't. The tight end that you sent me, Brevin Jordan, I think it was. I forget his exact name. I think it's TE2 in a lot of draft boards and whatnot. Someone like that, but just another weapon in the offensive on the offensive side of the ball. So I think those are the 3 biggest ones. I know they're not going to do anything at this position because they can't, but I think they have to get better play from guard. That's just that has to happen. And I think
I know you're ready to fire everybody there.
Guard is a hole that they can't do anything about.
That's right. That's right. This is we had this circular argument the other night for an hour. Yeah, there's just nothing they can do about it. It is what it is. Those guys got to play better. They can't. You can't do anything.
You can't do nothing there, bro. You just spent $13 million in a first round pick last offseason on guard. There's no guard movement this year, man. Yeah, it's guys like me and Nick will argue about something for an hour that we agree on.
That's so annoying.
Just real quick, our worst argument was the boogie one though, man.
Oh, God.
That was the worst. Yeah, that was. Anyway, we'll tell that story another day. But yeah, so I think guard is one of those positions I'm paying attention to, and pass rusher, right? I think guard and pass rusher are they even? What do you think?
Yeah, and I think they're kind of it's a similar situation with both. Is that you can add a pass rusher much easier than a guard, but it kind of just I kind of feel like that's kind of at a spot where it's probably it just is what it is at this point. Maybe an opportunity presents itself and you pounce on it, but I don't think it's something that. Yeah, I don't think you maybe prioritize it ahead of some of the other. Like all things being equal, I think it's further down than some of the other positions.
Yeah, I get it.
You could replace, Davenport a year early. Maybe you get the guy in the building and
if Phillips is sitting there at 28.
Yeah.
Are you passing on him? I'm not. But I mean, it's weird because like the Saints, like I feel like DA likes power rushers. Like I don't, which is weird when they got Bond, and then when they drafted him, I was like, okay, he's not a power guy. But then they moved him to linebacker, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. But he seems to favor guys that can rush with power, and Phillips is. I don't know if that's his thing, but I don't know if you turn down talent neither. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think those are the major positions. And man, I just think it's those four, and it feels weird because the last couple of years, maybe it's just been like you can't find a hole in the team. You can say, okay, well maybe they have a high-end starter, not a Pro Bowler or something like that, right? Or the guy who's starting is a little bit above average, but not a hole. And now you kind of feel like, they're in one of those positions, and I think those four positions that we just identified are like kind of the soft areas. So with all that said, and I think my brother, my little brother, I think he's the one that asked me this, but do you think they have to have another one of those 2017? Not exactly, because that's impossible, right? Those are like generational drafts, But like, how important do you think this draft is for them, right? Since that draft, you could make the case that they haven't done as well. They picked up Davenport, that hasn't worked out. McCoy was a good pick in the second round. Ruiz is, not off to a great start to his career. So, like, how important, in your mind is this draft? Do they have to hit on like maybe say 3 of these guys to maybe kind of get back to being a competitive team like they were?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to set the standard at one of the 10 greatest drafts in history. I mean, that's a little bit. Yeah, and I mean that's probably even gotten better with just the tail end of Trey, and then you're getting that 3rd round pick back as a comp pick. So, yeah, but Samson, they've just been regular good. They've been a regular good drafting team. There's hits, there's misses. It's just like a regular team that's good at drafting. Like you get some starters, but not every pick works out. I think they got to be a little bit better than that, though. I think there is a little bit of pressure on this draft where there's a little bit more riding on it. But I don't really think that's within your control either. You just do what's led you to these decisions and hope that more of them hit than don't. And I do think that this year kind of supports them a little bit because they do have veteran scouts. They got, guys that were in higher jobs and caught them, after they got let go from other places and put them in these, area scouts that once were, directors of pro personnel. And those guys have good sources and they know how to work the coaches and the training staff and the people at these colleges. And this is a year where a lot of that information isn't available and they aren't on the campus just bumping elbows with people. So you already got to have those numbers and those pre-existing relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that the Saints are going to be able to tap into some of that stuff and that their advantage in drafting will be greater this year than it has been in other years. And I think that's going to be true for a lot of teams that draft well and have had a lot of continuity. And, they have guys that have been around for a while and, we'll see. But yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on it because you are looking to fill a lot of holes through the draft. And the last time they were in that position was 17. They hit on a lot of them.
Yeah.
But, I think that was, look, I mean, the forward of, there's a book in the forward of it, Jeff Ireland wrote about that draft and, he just, all the stuff, like the stuff they were going other directions and things happened. It's my friend Neil Stratton's book. It's definitely worth checking out. But Jeff wrote the foreword about that draft class and just, Reuben Foster and all the different directions they were leaning and the things that had to happen for them to end up with the players they actually got. And there was a lot of luck involved and it could have, this, all-time great draft class very easily could have ended up being something else. So just the dominoes have to fall in an advantageous way.
Yeah.
And, hopefully that happens for them. But I do have faith that they're going to find a couple starters in this draft. The one thing I keep looking at and that I keep thinking, and I have trouble seeing them making both third-round picks. I don't see them
too many picks
making both those picks. I feel like with that ammunition, like somehow they're going to be aggressive and they're going to make a move for a guy that they want. And part of me thinks that, that person's already been identified and we'll see. I don't know. But I just don't see them doing some of the stuff they've done this offseason without like a plan at cornerback. So is there a draft cornerback in mind? Is there a veteran cornerback that you're thinking about signing and just waiting until after the draft and that deadline so they don't count against the comp pick formula, so you do get that pick back for Trey Hendrickson, sort of like what they did with Jameis last year? I just feel like that there has to be some type of plan in place at cornerback, and I don't know what it's going to be, but it's hard to believe that they just stand pat and go as they are.
Yeah. Especially the current iteration of the team. It just seems like they don't have those problems. I remember having one good cornerback was wow, and now it's okay, well, they only got one guy who's probably, at one point, we'll see what happens, was going to be one of the top paid corners in the league who they drafted. So, but yeah, I'm with you, man. Just, to the draft question, I would say the 2017 draft, this is a little bit of a hot take. And I don't know if I'm going all the way there, but we'll see. I know I'm not. But I would say, how lucky they were to, land Drew Brees. The Saints were to land Drew Brees in 2016. That's the same. It's the same. It's in the same realm of that type of luck. That draft was, in my opinion, right?
Well, the 2006 draft was in the same realm of that
luck too. There you go. Exactly. It's just it's so hard to do, right? That, in the next year, the expectations were high. After 2017, it was man, how you gonna beat that? And so I think expecting them to maybe get that type of draft again is a little bit weird. Because Marshawn, Ramczyk, Marcus, Alvin, Trey, that's that's pretty much on both sides of the ball, right?
Yeah, look, if that's the standard, you're like a drug addict chasing a high and you're never gonna hit it again. It's just for real. It's just that's unreasonable. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I think they have to be better than, I can't think of the drafts off the top of my head, but the Traquan Marcus draft, right? I don't think you can have another draft like that. You gotta do better than that. So, I would say the one, not last year, the year before was, you got McCoy and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? With no first, right? So a draft like that, and you hit on your first, I think that's, that would be you would take that, right? Because they have the first, a second, 2/3, and and if they hit on 3 of those 4 picks, I don't care. Don't matter which one it is. First could blow, it could suck, and the other get 3 guys to be good. It doesn't matter. I think that. I think that's a fair expectation of them. And I'm not saying those guys have to be the best players at their position, but I think, high level players, maybe 1 or 2 guys being, Pro Bowl type players is a fair level of expectation. So,
2 Pro Bowlers. That's the level of expectation.
No. I don't think saying having 2 Pro Bowlers. I think 1 is fine though. I think if you draft a guy in the first round, the expectation is that he's a Pro Bowler. If I draft, Pro Bowl is not a good. I think you get the point I'm making. He's one of if I take a corner in the first round, I would expect him to be a top 10 corner in the NFL at least. Or I'm not taking him. Yeah, I would expect
if you're drafting a corner at 28th, though, it might be the 5th best corner in the draft, 5th or 6th.
Well, and
that's just the value of the position.
Well, maybe you should pick a guard. You can get a better guard in the.
I guess draft another interior offensive lineman. And people that
was a bad take.
We aren't gonna have anybody listen to this podcast anymore because people will just be done.
Kevin's just gonna draft guards every year. No, but I'm saying is like if I like okay, look at who they've taken in the first. Do you think it's fair for the expectation with Davenport to be a top 10 defensive end, one of the best
Well,
defensive
yeah, I mean they traded up for him. They put 2 first-round
All
picks on
right.
him. But I'm just saying, if you stand pat at like 28 and you draft a corner, like my expectation for a corner at the end of the first round is just like a solid number 2. Like
I
if
got
you
a
aren't
little bit
drafting
higher.
a corner, if you aren't drafting a corner in like the top 10 or 12, I don't think you have those expectations. It's the same thing as like a quarterback. If you're drafting a quarterback at the end of the first round, like you aren't expecting them to be a top 10 quarterback. Like it's kind of like a gamble. That's like drafting like
quarterback is weird though. You can't use quarterback, bro.
Well, corner has almost the same positional value, and so does defensive end. Like if you're drafting any one of those 3 positions at the end of the first round, that's like getting a third rounder, basically, like any other position, because the positional value is so high, and people get pulled up like to a point where like they just really aren't worth it comparable to the other positions. But that's where you got to take them. Like they had to trade up for Davenport because like that's what you have to do. And I think it's the same thing at corner. Like if you want like a shutdown corner, like you need to be making a top 10 pick.
Yeah. See, I don't know, man. I think if you, I get your point. I get your point. And the position of value thing makes sense, I think. But I think that's the standard for me. I just think when you're taking a guy in the first round, like, and I'm pretty sure,
28
like,
though, like if you get a quarterback at the end of the first round, like that means, but like the guys that get drafted in the top 10, like there's guys in the top 10 that are probably like really like second round talents, but that's what you have to do to get them.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true. But you can also draft a Lamar Jackson at the end of the first round or Dak Prescott. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think that I don't know. I just think that's the standard for a team as the Saints. And, you know, I think they set that level of expectation themselves with the success they've had. And yeah, I just think that, you know,
I just don't think you're getting like Marshawn at 28. Like,
well, let me say this. Let me rephrase it, because I think the Pro Bowl is a bad example. If I take a corner or defensive back in the first round, I would expect him to at least be as good as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Right.
Well, I mean,
like, and because to me, like he's played at a Pro Bowl level, even though he hasn't been in a Pro Bowl. Right. So that's why I said, like, let me take the Pro Bowl out of there. Like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is one of the best in the NFL at what he does. Right. He's one of the best slot corners in the NFL, and he's like more than that. So like that's what I would expect his level of play from a first rounder. And I think that's fair.
I like if a cornerback at 28, like I would want like Jack Rabbit. Jack Rabbit ain't a Pro Bowl player, but he's a solid starter. Like that's I think that's the kind of corner that you're getting at 28.
He's one of the better number 2 cornerbacks in the NFL.
Right. Like that's what I said at the beginning, like a solid number 2 cornerback. Like that's what you get at 28.
But number 1,
maybe there's some upside there that you tap into, and if you get it, good. But like I think at 28, like you just want your good number 2 guy. Like if you're trying to draft a number 1 corner and you're looking for Marshawn Lattimore, like you aren't finding them at 28.
CB1 and CB2 are 2 different positions.
Yeah, but I mean,
like
still,
linebacker and running back, different positions. Like, you know, a cornerback at 30 has to be, you know, top 5 CB2 or something like that.
I mean, this is what I said at the beginning of this. It's the very point I made. Yeah.
All right, well, you know what we'll do.
Yeah,
you can see it happening, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you get that's why I said take the Pro Bowl out of there though. Like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson again. Like I think that's he is playing at the level of a first round pick, and you know maybe some people disagree. That's fine, but personally, I think he's playing at the level that you want your first round pick to play. I think if you draft a corner in the first round, you would want him to be as good as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? Like that would be fair. Like, okay, if he's good as Chauncey, then that's a good player. You know, I just think that that's a fair like level of expectation for like a cornerback. You know, and linebacker. I don't know. I mean, you can't. And I'm not gonna say DeMario because that's a little bit of that's. I think that would be unfair. But yeah, the cornerback. I think that's just a good like example of the type of play I would expect from someone in the first.
Yeah, I mean the only way like I think you're getting like a Marshawn type player is like if you take a like
don't
not
Marshawn, Chauncey.
But like if Farley falls and you can get like an injured player and you take a gamble on him and everything works out, then you know maybe something happens or there's a significant character flaw. Maybe then you get your guy at the end of the first round. or like a Ryan Ramczyk situation. Like that's kind of like what happened with Farley. That there's a surgery,
Yeah.
he falls, you get him, you take the gamble and hope things work out. But
He retired. People thought all this little crazy stuff they said about it at the time. But yeah, I get what you're
yeah,
saying. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, however you get there, right? I think however they get there is, it's more than one way. I mean, sometimes the perfect guy falls to you. Sometimes you got to trade up to get a guy, and sometimes you take a chance on the guy, right? There's different ways to get there. But, like I said, I think expecting someone at Chauncey's level at DB, I think that's
yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah. So I mean, like I would say, like, if you're drafting a wide receiver, I'm not saying to expect Mike, because it's different levels. Like some of the guys, like you can't expect Alvin.
I think the odds are like finding like a Mike level player at the end of the first round is like more possible than
A Marshawn.
cornerback. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get cornerback
Cornerbacks get overdrafted like badly.
Yeah. Or, because I think it has a lot to do with the amount of wide receivers that get drafted. Number one and number two positions drafted pretty much every year, right? And so, like if you're in the NFC South, you're gonna have to have an answer for Julio Jones. You got to have an answer for Mike Thomas. You got to have an answer for kids in Tampa. They got 5 of them, it seems like. Mike Evans and Godwin. You got to have an answer, even DJ Moore. So, I feel like it just drives up the stock of those players, right? And that's what a league is, man. That's what a league is. All right, man. That's all I got.
That's just pretty sounding like that. That's how it goes.
No, I had another topic, but we covered it like in roster needs and whatnot. So, let's take some questions. All right, guys, chat. You got some questions? Throw them our way. I've seen some people. I've seen a lot of draft talk, and I think we're gonna probably end up like watching some prospects on here maybe in a couple of weeks and kind of breaking them down. So if you guys got like some guys that you really love, let me know and I'll see if I can talk Nick into watching some tape on them. All right. How would you feel about if they took a linebacker in first round? Would you say that that's a big enough need for them to take in the first round? Or you think like they maybe have to go corner, like with the roster as it is right now?
Yeah, I would absolutely be fine with them taking a corner or a linebacker in the first round. I think you could justify like a bunch of positions in the first round, but linebacker is definitely one of them. And if like the right opportunities there and the right, if there isn't a cornerback that's worth the pick, you could definitely go that way. I like the linebacker from Notre Dame. I'm not even going to try to say his name, but he's like kind of like the hybrid type player.
He's like a safety linebacker kind of guy that can play both,
and I know people hate those, like, and they're scared of him, but I think in this defense, like, they already utilize people in that way.
So let me cut you off real quick. So how do you think they could use a guy like that and Chauncey together?
I mean, you go to your dime and he moves into the box and he could be your linebacker. I mean, you could do a lot of different things. You can move players all over the place. You could go, 7 DB and play him in the box like that. You could just do all kinds of crazy stuff and he could be there. So, and then your base package, he's in the box and then, he's not. Like, there's just a lot of stuff they could do with him.
Yeah.
So, and they would utilize it too. And
absolutely,
I think if you have the proper vision, it's not like you get a guy and figure out how to fit him. You have to have the proper vision for that. But the Saints would, because they already do a lot of that stuff. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Awusa or Amoa, I can't even. I don't know.
Hey, you got my respect, man. I'm gonna take that man and run it through the garbage disposal, man. And you got my respect for trying. A little bit more courage than me. How about? And I'll put this question and I'll rephrase it a little bit. Asante Samuel, in the second round, what would you like? He's kind of one of those. I mean, he's smaller, right? And then I don't think he's someone you would necessarily want to play a lot of man with? Like, could you see them maybe taking, someone like that in the second round, like without having like those strong man skills that they've always had in their corners?
I'm not really sure what's been going on with him, but like it seems like his name's been like everywhere lately, and people are like pushing him up. So I don't even know where like people are expecting him to go at this point.
Yeah.
When that happens too, it's not like something happened in the last couple of weeks. It's like people are starting to get better information, and it's just there's no such thing as a climber. It's just we're catching up to the information that teams already have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corners that like look, once you get outside of the first round, you aren't getting like the perfect guy. Like there's some type of flaw. They're good in man but not zone. They're good in zone but not man. They're 6'2" and they're a little slow turning, or there's going to be something that you find wrong with everybody. So what you got to figure out is what a player can do, and figure out how that fits in with what you want to do. So once you get past that first round, like I think what a guy can't do becomes less important. I think even in the first round, like you're still looking at what a person can do, but if you're drafting the corner in the first round, you don't want to be like, oh, we can't play cover 3 with this guy. Oh, we can't do this with this guy.
Yeah.
But maybe in round 2, round 3, if you're taking a corner and you got to play him, there's a willingness to hide something with that player. So
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I if that's the guy, I'm good with it. I like some of the things he does. And like I said, it seems like people are higher on him than maybe initially expected.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would be if he was the guy. If he was the guy that they picked, and I haven't seen like a lot on where I can write up like a report on him, but like I would be surprised with that pick, because I know he's can you play him outside? He did in college. Can he in NFL? He's not he's not a big guy, but like I said, him with he's one of those guys that's better with his eyes on the ball, right? I mean, I'm sorry, his eyes on the quarterback and kind of reading the routes versus like. They play like some press man and whatnot. And, if you don't have a guy that can like man up against someone, that's going to be a little bit, that's going to be a little tough. There was a question about guard in here, and I'm trying to find where it is. Oh, I think we kind of addressed this one, but I thought it was interesting. If Ruiz continues to struggle at guard to start this season, do the Saints consider Ruiz at center and McCoy at guard?
I think it could go either way. I know that there's some belief that that Ruiz is a guard. They spent invested a year with him at the position. Yeah. He got better as the year went on. McCoy's kind of really settling in at center now, so I wouldn't be totally shocked if it kind of just stays how it is. And that's kind of the question, like, but would they switch it? I think it's a two-way thing though. It isn't just Ruiz. Like, can McCoy just at a snap move to guard? Like, I don't know that that's just an immediate transition either. So
yeah,
you'd
be weakening in two positions.
I think however they start it is just basically how it's either you make that decision day one and that's what you're doing. You're switching it. Ruiz is your center, McCoy's a guard, and you start camp and that's how you're going. Like, I think they just need to make a decision early this year and ride with it. But I wouldn't be shocked if they feel like they already, there's a year into this, keep it going. He's getting better. He'll figure it out.
Yeah. And I guess there may be, or are they still figuring it out? Like there may be some type of some OTAs this year.
It sounds like it today. Yeah, it sounded like Tom Pelissero. Yeah, it sounded like he was reporting that there was going to be in-person OTAs, virtual meetings. I mean, things are,
man.
Look, I go outside and like it feels more and more normal like every day. So yeah, I mean, and that's great. I mean, I'm super excited. They're saying fans in the stadiums. Like I'm
just like ear to ear. Right? When you say OTAs and you was like, I just start smiling, bro. Like you get to go on your little walks before training camp.
Oh, man.
You're in your little walks, man, around the car. It just like, dude, it's crazy, man. It would just kind of like represent stuff getting back to normal, I guess.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. You would just feel like, you can just go to the store and I don't know. I want to say
here's a real question. Who you got tomorrow night? You got Godzilla or King Kong?
Man, So I've always been a Godzilla guy. Yeah, I've always been a Godzilla guy, but I don't know. I think I'm just a little biased, man. I mean, a fire-breathing dragon? Like, come on, man.
I mean, Kong beat him in the '60s, so I'm going with Kong too. Like, I got to ride with the apes, man. Like Caesar already took out all the humans. You know what I mean? Like, we already know this is a.
You were rooting for the apes in that movie too.
Yeah, like Godzilla's just like a big dumb lizard. Like Kong's way smarter than him.
Chill out, bro. Chill out. You're getting disrespectful.
I'll just say, Kong's gonna outsmart him. He's more nimble. He's smarter. Like he's gonna win, man. He's gonna win.
I'm just saying,
I don't even think it'll go to the cards. Like he's just gonna win.
I don't know, man. I think Godzilla, man. He's a little bit of a listen, man. Don't get me into this because so the reason why I like Godzilla, because growing up, my cousins, but they were like my older than my mom. They were like my cousins who could have been like my grandparents, small town stuff. And like their son had like all the Godzilla movies. And we used to go over there and just watch them all the time. Godzilla versus Mothra. And Godzilla always won, man.
So you must not have watched the one called Godzilla versus Kong.
That's not canon. That's like the Marvel universe where Superman was never born or something. we don't recognize that.
Oh man.
No, man, we team Godzilla around here. So but he's been like the villain and the good guy. So it's just like he's versatile, man. You got to go with the lizard. Man.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Big dumb lizard. The audacity. Thank you, man. Like, come on, someone let Nick know you out of line, man.
All right, that's all we got.
That's it, man. Hey guys, thanks for showing up. Thank you guys for showing up. Make sure you guys go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Pick a tier. Make sure if anyone want to sign up before the pod ends, that'd be a good thing too. We'd appreciate it, just saying. But no, in all seriousness, thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you guys for showing up. Make sure you go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Pick a tier. I don't know how many articles there have been this week, but it's a lot, and there's going to be more. So make sure you guys are going there and staying updated with the latest Saints news. And make sure you guys follow Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. Primates Rue, Lizards Drew. I don't know what to say to that. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. So with that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.